They called it the Road of Death. Ukraine had tracked a Russian military convoy, valued at an estimated $180 million worth of materiel, slowly inching across contested territory. The chatter in intelligence intercepts picked up plans, movements, hesitations, and then, at the worst moment, 2,500 kilograms of bombs detonated, turning that very highway into a furnace, halting the advance, leaving wreckage, bodies, burning fuel, and broken dreams in the ash. What exactly happened? How did Ukraine know to wait? What were the stakes, the risks, the decisions made by commanders on both sides? This is the story of that fateful road, from calculated surveillance to the moment when bombs lit up the pavement. The convoy that wasn't supposed to be seen. It began with whispers. Satellite imagery showed long, dark shapes moving through the outskirts of occupied territory. Dozens of armored vehicles, fuel tankers, ammunition trucks, and troop carriers heading toward a key junction in southern Ukraine. To Moscow, this was just another logistical push. But to Kiev, it was an opportunity. The estimated value of the convoy, around $180 million, was staggering. It represented weeks of fuel, munitions, and supplies meant to reinforce a front line under pressure. Losing it would cripple local Russian operations, but hitting it would require perfect timing and perhaps a touch of luck. So the question was, how do you stop a steel snake crawling through open terrain without alerting it first? The intelligence web. Behind the scenes, Ukraine's intelligence network was at full throttle. Signals Intercept Units, part of Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate, monitored encrypted Russian radio channels. Civilian drone operators, acting as spotters, flew small commercial drones above tree lines and village roofs, transmitting live video feeds to command posts miles away. Satellite imagery from Western allies filled in the gaps. Through a combination of NATO-provided reconnaissance data and real-time mapping from U.S. commercial satellites, analysts in Kyiv could track every shift of that convoy. It wasn't just seen, it was studied. How fast was it moving? How often did it refuel? Which roads were it avoiding? And why? Every piece of data mattered. Analysts noticed that Russian convoys tended to cluster near rural highways at dawn, moments before sunrise, when visibility was poor and local defenses were thin. That pattern would soon cost them dearly. The waiting game. The Ukrainian Air Force had a problem. Hitting a moving target of that scale required precision and timing. A single strike too early would scatter the convoy. A single strike too late would allow it to reach protected territory. So they waited. For days, reconnaissance teams tracked the column as it snaked closer to a key stretch of highway near Tokmak, a zone Ukrainian forces knew well. To the south, pilots prepared Su-27 and Su-24 bombers armed with FAB series bombs modified for glide capability, turning them into long-range, GPS-guided weapons capable of releasing destruction from beyond the reach of Russian air defenses. The mission was high risk. Russian radar systems could detect aircraft minutes after takeoff. Any misstep could mean losing not only planes, but also pilots, veterans who were irreplaceable. Still, the stakes were too high to ignore. The order was simple, almost chilling in its precision. Wait until they're all on the road. The trap is set. The convoy reached the narrow stretch of highway just after sunrise. Long shadows stretched across the asphalt as columns of armored vehicles rolled forward. Tankers laden with fuel followed close behind, their reflective surfaces gleaming in the light. Then came the fateful moment. A spotter drone hovering several kilometers away confirmed what everyone in the Ukrainian command post had been waiting for. The convoy was fully on the road, packed tight, with no exit routes. Within minutes, radio silence broke. Ukrainian pilots received their coordinates. Engines roared to life. From miles away, 2 aircraft took flight, climbing above the clouds, their radar signatures masked by electronic interference systems provided through Western partnerships. Each carried modified 2 500-kilogram bombs, designed not for small targets, but for annihilation. Would they reach their mark before Russian defenses reacted? Would the convoy detect the threat in time? When the sky opened up, at 8:42 a.m. local time, the first bomb struck. Observers on the ground later described it as if the earth itself split open. A fireball erupted high above the trees, consuming the front section of the convoy in an instant. The blast pressure flattened nearby grasslands, and shockwaves shattered windows kilometers away. Seconds later, a second detonation tore through the center, where fuel tankers were clustered. Flames engulfed dozens of vehicles, triggering a chain reaction of secondary explosions. The highway was no longer a road, it was an inferno. Ukrainian drones captured it all in high definition. The footage showed armored trucks melting under the heat, ammunition cooking off in violent bursts, and soldiers scrambling for cover, though there was nowhere to hide. What had once been a column of military might was now a burning scrapyard stretching for hundreds of meters. Panic in the Russian ranks. The Russian command scrambled to respond. Units in nearby sectors radioed for air support, but their communication lines were already jammed by Ukrainian electronic warfare units. Within minutes, confusion turned to chaos. Soldiers abandoned vehicles and fled into nearby fields, only to face follow-up strikes from smaller precision munitions dropped by drones. The air was thick with smoke and panic. Witnesses described it as a battlefield frozen in time, where no one could tell what had hit them or from where. For Ukraine, this was not just a strike, it was psychological warfare. Every convoy after that day moved slower, more cautiously, sometimes refusing to travel at all until air cover was guaranteed. The message was clear: nowhere was safe. Counting the losses. When the smoke finally cleared, satellite images confirmed what Ukrainian officials had already known. The strike had been devastating. Over 40 vehicles were destroyed, including tanks, missile launchers, and supply trucks. Estimates placed total losses near $180 million, one of the costliest single attacks on Russian equipment since the full-scale invasion began. Among the wreckage were destroyed T-72 tanks, multiple BM-21 Grad launchers, and rare logistics vehicles critical for maintaining frontline operations. Entire sections of the convoy were vaporized, leaving only scorched outlines on the road. But perhaps the most significant damage was invisible: the blow to Russian morale. A force that prided itself on armored dominance had been ambushed not by superior firepower, but by superior patience, planning, and intelligence. The technology behind the strike. Many analysts have since dissected how Ukraine pulled off such a precise operation. At the core of it was fusion warfare, the seamless blending of satellite data, local reconnaissance, and digital coordination. Commercial satellite companies like Maxar and Planet Labs provided near real-time imagery, helping confirm convoy routes. Meanwhile, software developed in cooperation with NATO intelligence units allowed Ukrainian analysts to layer multiple data streams, drone feeds, intercepted signals, and radar imagery into a single live operational map. That integration made it possible to predict convoy movements down to the hour. And when the time came, Ukraine used a glide bomb modification, converting old Soviet FAB 2500 bombs into standoff weapons. These modifications gave the munitions a range of up to 50 kilometers, meaning the pilots never had to enter Russian air defense zones. It was both genius and necessity, turning outdated weapons into modern strategic tools. A war fought with patience and precision. What makes this operation stand out isn't just the destruction, it's the patience behind it. For nearly a week, Ukrainian commanders resisted every impulse to strike early. Every day the convoy rolled closer, the temptation grew stronger. But they waited, because hitting at the right moment meant wiping out everything in one decisive blow. That discipline reflects a transformation in Ukraine's military mindset. Gone are the days of reactive defense. This was a deliberate, coordinated, intelligence-driven strike. a reflection of how modern warfare has shifted from brute force to strategic foresight. In many ways, the road of death became a symbol, not only of destruction, but of tactical evolution. Echoes of history. Throughout history, wars have been shaped by ambushes like this, from the German panzer traps in World War II to U.S. airstrikes on supply convoys during the Gulf War. But in this case, the digital age played the deciding role. Unlike past wars, every movement on the battlefield is now visible. To satellites, drones, and even civilians with smartphones, the concept of surprise has changed. So how does a modern military adapt when every convoy can be watched from space? How do commanders conceal their movements when even infrared signatures can betray them? The Russian convoy ambush forced military planners worldwide to reconsider the old playbook. Concealment no longer comes from camouflage. It comes from digital silence. The aftermath and global repercussions. In the weeks following the strike, Russian logistics slowed dramatically in southern Ukraine. Supply lines were rerouted, convoys broken into smaller, scattered units. But the psychological impact was harder to repair. Soldiers who survived the attack reportedly spoke of fire from nowhere. Videos circulating online showed vehicles burning for hours, turning the highway into a graveyard of steel. International media picked it up, amplifying the story into a symbol of Ukrainian defiance. Meanwhile, Western military analysts studied the footage frame by frame. The operation demonstrated not only Ukraine's tactical ingenuity, but also how Western intelligence sharing could empower smaller nations against larger adversaries. But the deeper question remained. Was this a turning point? Could a single ambush alter the momentum of a war defined by attrition and endurance? What this meant for the war. The road of death wasn't just an isolated success. It was a warning. Russia began shifting tactics, relying more heavily on night convoys, decoys, and electronic interference. Yet each adaptation only highlighted how fragile logistics had become. For Ukraine, the success proved that intelligence coordination was more valuable than raw firepower. It showed that even a modest air force could cripple a superior military machine if it struck with precision and timing. And for the world watching, it was a demonstration of how 21st century warfare truly works, where every decision, every intercepted message, every drone feed can decide the fate of millions. Lessons written in fire. The highway where the convoy burned has since been photographed countless times. Charred metal still scattered along the roadside, a haunting reminder of how modern warfare unfolds. Each fragment tells a story, a destroyed tank that never fired a shot, a melted truck filled with supplies that never reached the front. And above all, it tells a deeper truth, that wars are not only fought with weapons, but with information, patience, and human resolve. Would Ukraine have dared to wait that long without certainty of success? Would any commander risk losing such an opportunity for the sake of perfect timing? Perhaps that's what separates a tactical victory from a historical one. The legacy of the road. Months later, reports confirmed that similar tactics were being developed by other Ukrainian units, ambushes set through digital prediction rather than guesswork. It was no longer about who had more tanks, but who had more data. This shift in warfare philosophy echoed globally. Militaries began investing in open-source intelligence, AI-powered targeting, and drone networks inspired by Ukraine's success. The road of death became a case study, not just in destruction, but in adaptation. And for Russia, the scars ran deep. Every convoy became a potential target. Every movement was haunted by the memory of that burning highway. A battle won in silence. In the end, this was a battle not fought through numbers, but through silence. The silence of waiting, of unseen satellites orbiting overhead, of pilots flying in radio blackout, of commanders whispering final coordinates before unleashing devastation. The convoy was supposed to symbolize progress. Instead, it became a graveyard of machinery, a turning point forged by patience and precision. The lesson endures. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the bomb itself. It's knowing exactly when to drop it. The story of the $180 million Russian convoy is more than a tale of destruction. It's a study in intelligence, timing, and modern warfare's unforgiving precision. It shows that even in the chaos of battle, the smallest decisions, when to wait, when to strike, can change everything. And for those who watch that highway burn, it will forever be remembered as the place where one army's arrogance met another's endurance. If you found this story gripping and you want to explore more real events reshaping our understanding of war, strategy, and technology, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.